Alright, so once you got all of the paint off, or most of the paint off, then we're ready to drill a hole. We don't have to worry about the paint in the inside, that's all just going to burn away. It's going to be toxic for the first couple burns, but that's okay. And the only reason why we're taking the paint off is because it's just going to melt and burn and look like crap. So we're going to paint it with some high temp barbecue paint and see if that makes it look good. So the next step is to drill a hole. And I've already measured on mine. This is an actual ammo can from the Army surplus store, so it might be different if you order an Army ammo can from Amazon or something, but we measured 2 3/4 across the bottom, and then 1.5 inches up, and we're going to drill a 3/8 inch hole. Although the coupler is going to be 3/8 of an inch, so it might be small. We might have to hog it out a little bit. So, but right now, handy, I only have a 3-inch or 3/8 inch drive drill bit. So that's what we're going to do. I hope you can see this. It's so bright I can't really see in the viewfinder. So we're just going to use a 5/32 as a pilot, and then start the hole right underneath the 2 and above the C on this one. Okay, it's pretty thin, pretty easy to drill. Then we go straight to the 3/8. Ooh. Okay, let's do this. Alright, not too shabby. Woo. I don't know, I can't see the viewfinder. I hope you're watching. I hope you can see this. Alright, let's hog this out a little bit. And let's go see if our fitting will fit in there. It might be better to just use a 1/2 inch drive drill bit, but let's see. So this right here is a coupler fitting, and I will put everything in the description of what I used. It's a 3/8 to 1/2 inch, I believe. I'll get the specs and make sure that it's in the description in case you're interested. But it's a compression fitting, so you have the nut, you have the compression bit, and then the fitting. So let's see if the fitting fits. And it does not. So it's actually a 3/8 ID, so we're definitely gonna need to hog this out. I need to purchase a step drill for just times like this. So give me a second and I'm going to get this hogged out. Alright, so the beauty of it is this project is good for people that don't have OCD. So it doesn't have to be perfect. Like, nothing has to be perfect. Our fitting fits in here nice and good. And once we get it in here, we're going to put the copper tube inside, and the compression fitting is going to be in the inside. We're going to want this tight, and if we tighten the compression fitting and this isn't tight, then we'll just shim it up with a washer and make this tight onto the body. So we're going to drill another hole off to the side, and we're going to use that to light this thing. We'll use one of those extended lighters that you can poke into the hole, and we'll use that for lighting. Some people drill like decorative holes on the side and they think that it will heat out the side, but to me, I think if you're camping and you're in your camping chairs, that this is going to be low enough that we get enough heat out of the top, that I'm not going to drill the holes in the side. The beauty of it is if I decide that I'm not right, then later I can drill holes in the side, make it decorative or whatever, and it won't make a difference. So that's where we are. I'm just gonna drill another hole in the side right here, just probably like a 3/8 hole, just to get one of those long lighters through the hole. I'll show you, and then we'll paint it, and that's gonna be our next step, is painting it. Also, before I move on, I didn't strip all the paint off the lid because I'm not gonna have a fire going with the lid, so I'm not worried about the paint melting. I'm just gonna scuff it up and paint it the same color, the high temp, so it all matches, but you don't have to go crazy stripping all the paint off the lid. So let me get this hole drilled. Actually, I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna start a pilot hole. I probably should hit it with a punch, but we're just gonna see if we can do it with this drill. Yep, looks like the drill worked fine without a little punch hole, punch divot, punchy. You know. What is with this drill bit? Oh, it's the wrong hole. All right, now I'll just make it 3/8. Doesn't really matter, just off to the side. There's no measurement. The only reason why I measured where this hole went is just so it's off the floor and somewhat in the middle. But you could do it on the side if you wanted to. So there we go. Let's I'm gonna deburr these things with file and then paint it. Alright, we're gonna sand it now with 150 grit. If I have to go to 200, I may, but we'll see what 150 does with wet dry. Just gonna scuff it up a little bit. Just so the new paint will stick. Nothing really big. Look at that, it looks better already. I'm not going to worry too much because, like I said, not an OCD project. So here's the lid right here, and as you can see, it's still military green, has some other kind of paint here, but I'm just gonna scuff it up. I'm not even gonna take the paint off. I'm just gonna scuff it up so I can paint it with the high temp paint, just so it matches. But like I said, this isn't gonna be on when I'm cooking, so it's not going to burn this paint off. So we just want it to match is all. So we're just going to do a quick scratch up. And we can always, if anything happens, if it rusts or surface rust or whatever, we can always just repaint it. So, just want to scuff it up a little bit to hold the paint is all. Alright, so now we're getting ready for paint. It's all rinsed off and dried, so we're gonna hit it with a little bit of acetone to just wipe off the last final contaminants. I should probably have my gloves on. and my mask on, but I'm an idiot. So I'm just gonna wipe this off real quick with this lint-free towel. I mean, you can kind of see the cross hatches still on there. I don't know how awesome. This is not going to be a show class paint job, that's for sure. But we just want it to be better than the burnt up stuff the green military paint would do the first time you do this. So these holes here, let's see, can you see those? These holes here, don't even bother with the 3/8, just cut them out half. I did them both half. This one I had to hog out a little bit more, but you kind of need the half to show you. This is, you're gonna use that to light it. Look at all the stuff that came off. Alright, let's do the lid. The acetone is good stuff. A little bit goes a long way. Also, if you don't quite get all of the water off, it will take the water off. We did, however, but let's pour a little bit in there. Wipe it all over the place. You don't have to use acetone, you can use mineral spirits. I just like acetone, so I always have it around. Okay, so let's start painting. Let's see how this goes. Shake it up. All right, let's do this. So we're gonna do a couple coats, so we'll just do light coats to start out with. Wow, that stuff really got flat. It's a flat black. I thought it would be like a semi-gloss, but it's kind of a stovepipe black, which is fine as long as it holds up to the heat. That's all we really care about. I've just seen the green ones when you start your fire, the paint just peels and rolls right off. And like I said, we're not winning any painting contests here. We just want it black. So I've never done this before. This is my first one, but basically we're going to run a copper tube inside here and curl it around and drill some holes in it. So let's measure to get some sort of idea. The box is 11 inches. And we don't quite want to go all the way back. So let's say 11. And then, alright, let's start out with 19 inches. And unfortunately, the only 3/8 outside diameter copper that I could find is in a roll. So we're gonna have to do some bending and play with that. Alright, let's start out with 19 inches. Let's just get this unrolled. So let's see. We want 19 inches, but this end is kind of weird, so let's go 20 inches. Might be a little easier to measure if we straighten it out a bit. Yeah, we're going to do 21 inches because we're going to cut probably an inch off the front of that because it's kind of weirdly bent. But at least it'll make it smaller to work with. Alright, safety glasses. I would use a tube cutter because that looks a little rough, but I don't have one. I thought I had one, but I don't. So what we'll do is, this is the side that we'll use to crush, because we have to crush one side, and then we'll use the other side to put the flare on. Let's straighten out that weird bend. Let's see if you can see what I'm doing now. So we want to try and get this straight as we can to start out with. And this is a pretty good end, so we'll put the flare, or not the flare, but the compression on this end. And then we'll use this end for the crush, and I'll show you what I mean. Okay, so I didn't show you, but I just ran to the vise real quick and just flattened it in the vise. You could do the same thing with vice grips, or like a press would do it, but I just smashed it with the pliers, rolled it with the noodle nose, and then went in and did a final crush on in the vise. Now, to show you what I'm doing, let's test fit this. So this is going to go to this hole basically, and then we're just going to bend this around until it fits. Can you see this? We're just going to bend this around. So I cut the end of it off, and it's not a perfect cut, but you know, like I said, this is not an OCD project. So we're just gonna sand the burrs on the end a little bit with some sandpaper, just to clean it up, because this is where the compression fitting is going to be. Get rid of all the burrs. So this is a good project for people that are not worried about perfection, because it doesn't have to be perfect. You should blow through it and make sure that your end's not leaking. But I think that's gonna fit in there perfect now. Let's see if you can you see in there? Perfect. Alright, we're gonna get a drill and we're gonna drill some holes in it now. So what we're going to do is now we're going to drill holes in the copper for the burner, and we're going to use a 7/64 drill bit. You could be meticulous and drill them in symmetrical spots, but like I said, this project's not going to be meticulous. We're just going to drill some holes. So let's get started. You can put as many or as little holes as you want in here, but I'm putting 10 in. I don't know why. but I am. And as you can see, they're not perfectly evenly spaced. In fact, I kind of bunched them up at the end. I don't know why I didn't put one at the very end, but I don't know, maybe I should. I think 10 is enough. I don't know. I don't know what the science is. We're just gonna go for 10. That seems like a lot. I think I can cook some stuff with this. So there we go. Now we're just gonna compression it in there, and that's our next step. And now we're gonna put the compression ring on it, and I just kind of want to tell you real quick what we're doing. So you have your brass adapter, you have your compression ring right here, and then you have your cap, and you put it all together on the copper tube, starting with the cap. Put the cap on, then the ring, so we got the cap and the ring, and then we're going to put the fitting on, and then we'll start. Then we screw the cap on the fitting, and it compresses that compression ring to the copper tube. So, but now we're going to dry fit it in. We're going to dry fit it in the box, and we're going to compress that tube. Once we compress it, we can take it back apart. But we need to shim it with a washer or something to hold it tight. But I'm going to compress the ring first. So that's what we're doing. All right, we got it tight. We got the compression compressed, but we can see how loose it is. So right here, if you can see, we're going to take this back apart, and we're going to shim that up with a couple washers to hold that in there tight. All right, here's my washer. We're going to put it on the inside, hang it on the screw. I know it's hard to see. And then we're going to screw the burner on tight. Okay, now it's time to put the coupler on. The coupler is 1/2 inch female to 3/8 male, but it also has the little flange on the end for the hose. To put this on, we have to use the yellow tape, not the white stuff. The yellow is for gas, the white's for water and air. So we're gonna put this on counterclockwise, and we're gonna wrap it like 4 times. And it's actually kind of difficult to get started compared to the white stuff. So let's Alright, we're going to use a 7/8 to put it on, to tighten it. Seven-eighths and crescent. Alright, that seems to be like the toughest part of the job, but there we are. Next we're gonna get the grate on there. I'm gonna go get it. I'll be right back. Alright, so that's what it looks like inside. Got the end on. We're down the home stretch now. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna make the little cover for the burner so I can put lava rocks on it. So first what we're gonna do is we're gonna measure the highest point of the burner because we want the expanded metal over the top. And by the way, everything, all the parts are going to be listed in the description. It looks like the highest point is 2 1/4. So what we'll do is we're going to put the expanded metal on here and measure 2 1/4 out on the sides. So we're going to bend the sides down, each side 2 1/4. But we're going to use the actual edge to start the baseline measurement. So we'll go to the other side and we'll mark where to cut on the other side. So we have our line, marked it out with a Sharpie, and let's go cut it. Okay, now we got it cut. Now we got it cut lengthwise, but we're gonna mark out 2 1/4 inches off each side. So I guess we could just mark out, we'll just put it on the end like that, and then we'll mark out 5 inches out. So 5 inches is right there, so we'll mark this out. And we'll just go ahead and cut this with a grinder again. So again, nothing has to be perfect. That's the beauty of this job. Nothing has to be perfect, but we got it cut so it fits in here. Probably should grind down the burrs though. It's pretty burry, but it fits in here like this. So we're gonna actually, it fits in here like this is what we want. It's gonna be kind of tight, but we're gonna make it fit. And then we're gonna measure out 2 1/2 inches off the end. I know I said 2 1/4, but we're gonna go 2 1/2. There's 2 1/2. So can you see that? Looks like you can see that. So we're just gonna mark where 2 1/2 is, which is right here. I hope you can see this. And then right here, and then we're gonna bend that somehow. Let's try it on this table. Let's see how that goes. So here's my mark right there. We're just gonna bend it down. Get it started, and then we're gonna go find a piece of wood to get a nice corner. Put it on the edge here, and we'll just use that wood to bend that corner over. To start the bend, and then we'll use the wood to get a nice crease on the corner, and then we'll just kind of fold it in. All right, see what we did there? We made a little table for the lava rocks out of expanded metal. So we'll just kind of fit it in here. It's going to be kind of snug. All right, I just used a grinder. to smooth the edges, and it popped right in there. So we're just going to kind of tap it down with a screwdriver until it gets down to the bottom. And it's in. Alright, that's the little table. We'll get some lava rocks. Living in Arizona, we're pretty lucky. I can just go out camping and get some lava rocks. Okay, I got this hose from Amazon. It goes onto your big 20-gallon or 20-pound tank. It has a regulator and a gauge. So let me hook this up. It came with an O-ring, but it has the beveled edge, so I don't believe it needs it. So we'll just screw this on here. I believe finger tight will be good enough, but we'll find out. I'm gonna go get a lighter and we'll go light this thing up. All right, here we go. I haven't even tried it. Let's see how it works. We'll turn on some gas. Put in the... I do have to admit that I had some trouble lighting it, but my lighter wasn't working. And now got the lighter working, but it's very temperamental. Like, there's a lot of flameage coming out. So when you turn your gas on, don't turn the gas up very high. You can kind of hear it. Turn it on until you can just barely hear it. And then put your lighter in the hole that you created and light it up. And that gas is just barely on. Let's see if you can see that. Yeah, you can see that. Now, that's with the gas barely on. If I give it a little bit more gas, look at that. That gets insane. So be super careful with that. Let's check this out. Let me turn the gas down a little bit. Right here. Just gonna turn it down a little bit so you can see the flames coming out of the holes in the pipe. So you can see the flames. Pretty slick, right? Alright, this is the DIY fire pit. Be careful, man, you turn that gas on, it flames up. But I hope this helped people. Like I said, I'll have all of the parts in the description below, and we'll catch you in the next one.